They tell you the truth will set you free, but they never tell you that truth is a blade, cold, merciless. It cuts away illusions, strips you bare, and leaves you standing in the silence of reality. That silence is where power begins. Most people live inside cages they built themselves. They beg for comfort. They worship approval. They trade freedom for acceptance, and then wonder why their lives feel hollow. You will not, because you are here to face the truths that others run from, the truths that scorch weakness from your soul. Understand this: life doesn't reward innocence. It doesn't protect the kind. It devours them. Those who survive and rise are the ones who accept reality without flinching. The ones who learn to wield darkness as an ally. The ones who see manipulation, betrayal, and cruelty not as tragedies, but as weapons. These are not lessons for the faint-hearted. They are for the few who dare to rise above the herd. The few who want to become untouchable. You are about to hear 7 harsh truths. Each one will sting. Each one will dismantle another illusion. But if you accept them, you'll carry a power that others can't even comprehend. If you're ready, comment this phrase: I embrace the blade of truth. Now, let's begin. First truth: the indifference of the world. The first harsh truth: no one actually cares about your struggles, your pain, or your excuses. People only care about what you can do for them, and the sooner you accept this, the sooner you stop bleeding energy into the void of pity. The world is not your therapist, it is your battlefield, and in this arena, weakness is not forgiven. It is consumed. So stop waiting for sympathy, because even those who smile at you are calculating, always asking, what value does this person bring me? And when that value dies, so does their loyalty. Understand this. Loyalty is conditional, affection is transactional, and respect is earned only through dominance, through proof that you cannot be ignored. Most men waste years resenting this truth, whining that life should be fair, but fairness is a fairy tale told to keep you compliant, while predators carve the world to their advantage. And if you want to rise, you must adopt their clarity. You must see people not as angels or devils, but as pieces on a board, each motivated by hunger, each easily swayed by self-interest. When you master this perspective, you stop expecting anyone to save you, and you begin forging yourself into a man who doesn't need saving, a man who carries his own weight with brutal strength, a man who commands attention not by begging for it, but by making himself indispensable, feared, and respected. Machiavelli taught that it is better to be feared than loved when you cannot be both, and he was right, because love can evaporate with time, but fear ensures obedience. And in a cold world, obedience is worth more than affection. This is why kings rise while dreamers rot, why conquerors are remembered while the kind are forgotten, because power respects power, and only power protects. So from this day forward, remember that no one cares about your suffering. They care only about your strength, your results, your ability to influence reality. Stop sharing your wounds with people who secretly enjoy your weakness. Stop wasting your breath on explanations, and instead, let your silence build the gravity that others cannot resist. If you understand this, comment right now: my silence is my power. Second truth: the mask of loyalty. The second harsh truth: loyalty is a mask, a performance people wear when it benefits them. And when the mask no longer serves their interests, it slips, revealing what has always been there: self-preservation. You must stop believing in eternal allegiance, because loyalty is not carved in stone. It is written in sand, and the tide of self-interest will wash it away the moment it no longer profits the other person. Understand this. Every ally has a price, every friend has a limit, and every bond has conditions that you may never see until the knife is at your back. Because humans are transactional by nature, their words painted with devotion while their minds calculate cost and gain. Even blood ties can fracture under pressure, and history is littered with brothers betraying brothers, soldiers abandoning kings, and lovers turning cold when advantage demanded it. Machiavelli wrote that men are ungrateful, fickle liars and deceivers, and only bind themselves when it is convenient. Yet most people still cling to the fantasy of forever loyalty, only to be gutted by disappointment when reality strikes. This truth is not meant to make you bitter, but to make you strong, because once you accept the conditional nature of loyalty, you stop being naive and start building alliances with clarity. You begin to test people, to measure what they value most, to identify where their devotion ends and their ambition begins. You will see that trust is not a gift. It is a contract, one that must always be monitored, one that must never be left unwatched, because power is maintained not through blind faith, but through leverage, through keeping others dependent on your presence, fearful of your absence, and cautious of betraying you. When you understand this, betrayal no longer surprises you, it amuses you, because you anticipated it long before it happened. You must master the art of keeping allies close without ever depending on them, of smiling while always holding the reins. Never reveal your whole hand. Never put your survival in another's loyalty, because loyalty is a mask, and masks are designed to crack. If you truly understand this, comment now. I trust leverage, not promises. Third truth, the tyranny of weakness. The third, harsh truth. Weakness is not innocent, it is tyrannical, because it demands that the strong carry its weight. It drains, it manipulates, it enslaves through guilt. And if you allow it into your circle, it will consume you piece by piece until nothing of your strength remains. The weak disguise their dependence as virtue, calling it kindness, humility, or need. But beneath the mask lies parasitism, the quiet demand that you sacrifice your edge for their survival. Understand this. Weakness spreads like infection, and the moment you indulge it, the moment you lower your guard to protect it, you invite it to rule you. Most men are destroyed not by enemies, but by the weakness they tolerate in themselves and in others, by the excuses they make, the comforts they chase, the softness they allow. Machiavelli warned that mercy shown at the wrong time leads to ruin, and he was right. Pity, extended without judgment, becomes your own executioner, because the weak will always take more than they give. They will always cling to you when storms rise, but disappear the moment strength is required. You must understand that true compassion without strength is self-destruction, because kindness without power makes you prey. It signals to the wolves that you are not dangerous, that you are available to be devoured. You cannot save everyone, and you should not try, because those who refuse to harden themselves deserve the fate that reality delivers. And when you interfere, you not only weaken yourself, you rob them of the chance to evolve. Instead, you must cut weakness out of your life with surgical precision. You must exile it from your habits, your mind, your circle, until all that remains is the iron of discipline and the fire of resilience. The world bows not to those who plead for help, but to those who stand unshaken, unbending, unstoppable. And if you become that, the weak will follow you out of fear or admiration, but never again out of obligation. Remember this. Weakness is not harmless. It is tyranny disguised as innocence, and if you let it rule you, it will crush you without mercy. If you understand this truth, comment right now. I will not carry the weak. Fourth truth, the currency of fear. The fourth harsh truth. Fear is more reliable than love, because love is fragile, emotional, and fleeting. But fear commands obedience even when the heart has turned cold. Understand this. People may claim to adore you today, but affection is tied to moods, and moods change like the weather. Yet fear cuts deeper. It lingers. It governs behavior long after affection has died. Machiavelli himself declared it better to be feared than loved, when you cannot be both, because fear binds men in ways love never could. It sharpens loyalty through caution, it prevents betrayal through dread, and it ensures that even your enemies hesitate before moving against you. Most men spend their lives chasing love, begging for admiration, hoping for acceptance. But this hunger makes them soft, predictable, and weak, while the man who masters fear becomes untouchable because others may smile to his face, but in the back of their minds they whisper, "Do not cross him, he is dangerous." Fear does not require cruelty. It requires presence, discipline, an aura of consequence that radiates from every word, every silence, every decision you make. When people know you can and will enforce boundaries without hesitation, when they sense that betrayal would cost them dearly, they obey not out of affection, but out of self-preservation. And self-preservation is the strongest instinct of all. You must therefore build an image not of harmlessness, but of controlled danger. A man who smiles yet is not to be trifled with. A man whose respect is rare and whose wrath is costly. A man whose absence would be felt like a collapse. Love fades, but fear cements power, and power is the only language the world obeys. Stop wasting time chasing hearts, and instead cultivate an aura that commands attention, that bends loyalty, that silences opposition before it speaks. Remember, you don't need to be cruel, you only need to be undeniable. And those who once sought to test you will learn quickly that the cost of crossing you is too high. If you understand this truth, comment right now, "Fear is my fortress." Fifth truth, the illusion of morality. The fifth harsh truth: morality is not absolute. It is an illusion crafted by the powerful to control the powerless, a script written by rulers, priests, and politicians to keep the herd obedient. And if you cling to it as universal law, you will be devoured by those who understand it is nothing but a mask. Understand this: what is called right or wrong shifts with time, culture, and circumstance, meaning morality is not truth, but strategy, a convenient leash wrapped around the necks of the naive, while the cunning pull it tight to serve their own interests. History proves this. Kings declared wars righteous when they hungered for land. Churches labeled dissenters evil when they hungered for control. Governments praised obedience as virtue when they hungered for order. And in each case, morality was nothing more than a tool of power. Machiavelli knew this and wrote that rulers must learn how not to be good, because goodness in excess destroys kingdoms, while flexible morality builds empires. You must stop believing that morality protects you, because it never has. It only chains you while the ruthless exploit its boundaries to advance. Those who cling blindly to goodness are like sheep praising the wolf's mercy as their throats are cut, while those who rise above morality see it as a language, a costume they wear when it benefits them and discard when it hinders them. Morality is a performance, and the most dangerous actors are those who wear it most convincingly. Preachers who sin in secret, leaders who preach justice while practicing corruption, allies who preach loyalty while planning betrayal. If you want to become untouchable, you must accept that morality is situational, and power decides what is moral, not the other way around. Do not mistake this for chaos. It is strategy. It is clarity. It is the ability to bend with the storm rather than break under it. Because when you refuse to be bound by the herd's fragile sense of right and wrong, you gain the freedom to play the game on your own terms. But take heed. Freedom is not recklessness. It is calculated coldness. It is knowing when to appear virtuous to inspire trust, and when to discard virtue to secure victory, because survival belongs not to the pure, but to the adaptable. Morality will call you cruel, manipulative, selfish, but what is cruelty to the lamb is clarity to the wolf, and the wolf survives. If you cling to morality, you will find yourself crushed under the boots of men who see it for what it is, a convenient fiction. If you embrace its illusion, you will no longer waste energy asking, "Is this right?" but instead asking, "Does this serve my purpose?" And that question will shape an empire out of stone. So remember, morality is the illusion of chains, and when you break those chains, you will terrify the world, because nothing is more feared than the man who cannot be bound by rules that others worship. If you understand this, comment now, "I bend morality. Morality does not bend me." Sixth truth, the prison of desire. The sixth harsh truth: desire is a prison, and the chains are forged by your own hunger. Because the moment you want something too badly, you hand the key to your freedom into someone else's hands. and they will use it against you every time. Understand this. Men are enslaved not by iron but by appetite, by lust for pleasure, for status, for approval, for wealth, for recognition. And when you cannot control your desires, you will be manipulated, humiliated, and broken by those who can, because whoever controls your desire controls you. The woman who knows you crave her attention owns you. The master who knows you crave money exploits you. The crowd that knows you crave approval cages you. And every manipulator throughout history has thrived on this one weakness. Men who cannot govern themselves. Machiavelli wrote that a prince must appear to be ruled by virtue, but be ruled by necessity, meaning he must never let his private desires dictate his public power, because desire makes you predictable, and predictability is death. The addict of pleasure sells his soul for another taste. The addict of approval bends his spine for applause. The addict of wealth becomes a slave to men who dangle coins before him, and the addict of love becomes blind to betrayal until the knife is in his chest. Understand this. He who governs his desires governs the world, because he becomes untouchable, immune to manipulation, immune to the chains that bind ordinary men. The prison of desire is invisible, but you see its victims everywhere. Men chasing women who laugh at them. Men chasing money they will never control. Men chasing status that crumbles the moment they falter. Men chasing approval from people who secretly despise them. The more they chase, the tighter the chains pull, until they are nothing more than puppets dancing on strings pulled by those who understand control. Your task is simple but merciless. Starve your desires until they serve you. Do not serve them. Practice restraint, not as weakness, but as dominance, because every time you deny a craving, you sharpen your will. You carve your independence deeper into your soul, and that independence radiates like power, because people fear the man who cannot be bribed, who cannot be seduced, who cannot be swayed by promises of pleasure or threats of deprivation. Imagine this. Two men stand in the same room. One hungers desperately for approval, while the other stands silent, unmoved, indifferent to praise or insult. The room will orbit the second man, because indifference is magnetic. It signals control, it signals danger, it signals freedom. When you master desire, you become that man, and people will try to understand your strength, but they will fail, because they cannot imagine life outside their own cages. And here lies the paradox. Once you kill your desperate cravings, once you no longer chase wealth, women, or recognition, those very things begin to chase you, because the world is drawn to what it cannot control. By refusing to kneel before desire, you make desire kneel before you, and the same people who once thought they owned you will fear your independence, because they cannot buy it, they cannot seduce it, they cannot threaten it. The prison of desire is where weak men live and die, but the fortress of self-control is where conquerors are born. You must learn to live with hunger without letting hunger own you, to look temptation in the eye and smile coldly, because the ability to walk away is the purest form of power. The man who cannot be tempted cannot be ruled, and the man who cannot be ruled inevitably rules others. So remember this truth and etch it into your bones. Desire is slavery, but mastery of desire is freedom. It is armor, it is sovereignty, and it is the final barrier between you and untouchable power. If you understand this, comment right now. I master desire. Desire does not master me. Seventh truth, the solitude of power. The seventh and final harsh truth. Power is lonely. And the higher you rise, the fewer hands you can shake, the fewer allies you can trust, the fewer equals you will have, because greatness demands isolation. Understand this. Most men crave companionship, applause, and brotherhood, but those cravings keep them tied to the herd, desperate for belonging, terrified of walking alone, while the man who ascends must learn that solitude is not punishment. It is refinement. It is the furnace in which all illusions are burned away. When you begin to climb, people will celebrate you, but celebration is cheap, and their cheers will turn to envy the moment your light outshines theirs, because nothing exposes weakness faster than another man's strength. You will discover that loyalty shrinks the higher you climb, that those who once stood beside you will quietly resent you, that family will try to pull you back to their comfort zone, that friends will whisper that you have changed, and they will be right, because you must change. Change. You must shed softness. You must harden into something they can no longer recognize. And in doing so, you will step into a world where the air is thin and the company sparse. Machiavelli warned that a prince must never depend entirely on others, because men are unreliable, fickle, and bound only by convenience. And if you forget this, you will find yourself betrayed by those you once trusted most. Solitude becomes your shield, because the fewer people you depend on, the fewer people can betray you. And the fewer you allow close, the less vulnerable you become. This does not mean you must reject all alliances, but it means you must treat alliances as temporary, conditional, tactical, not as sacred bonds. When you walk the path of power, you must accept that there will be nights where the silence feels like a weight pressing on your chest, days where you feel like the last man standing on a battlefield, and moments where you wonder if the cost of strength is worth the loneliness. But this is where ordinary men break and turn back, while the few who endure discover that solitude is not emptiness, it is clarity. In solitude, you are no longer drowned by the noise of the herd. You are no longer seduced by their shallow desires. You are no longer bound by their weak expectations. You become self-contained, a fortress of willpower that needs no validation. Solitude reveals who you truly are, because when there is no applause to chase, no crowd to impress, no hand to hold, you are forced to stand naked before your own reflection and decide whether you are king or slave. The weak cannot face that mirror. They need distraction, noise, company to hide from their hollowness. But the strong man stares into it until it breaks, and from the shards, he builds himself into something indestructible. Solitude is the crucible of power because it forges independence. And independence terrifies the world, since most men are chained to each other, dependent on approval, addicted to belonging, enslaved by community. But when you rise above that need, when you can walk alone without flinching, without begging, without shrinking, then you have become untouchable. Do not misunderstand me. There will always be people circling you, lovers, allies, admirers, parasites. But you must remember that their presence does not erase your solitude, because they are drawn to your gravity, not to your essence. And if your gravity falters, they will vanish like smoke. Only solitude remains, because solitude is truth. Power isolates you, not because you are unloved, but because you no longer need love, not because you are abandoned, but because you no longer beg to belong, not because you cannot connect, but because you no longer hunger for connection. And in that absence, you become sovereign. The solitude of power is cold, yes, but it is the cold of steel, the cold of diamond, the cold that resists fire, blade, and time. You must embrace it, for to reject solitude is to reject greatness, and to reject greatness is to sink back into the mud of the herd, unnoticed, forgotten. So choose now. Remain in the crowd, chained to their warmth, their noise, their endless need, or walk the razor's edge into the silence of power, where only the few ever dare to tread. If you understand this final truth, comment now. I embrace the silence of power. And if you want more truths that cut through illusions, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is only the beginning of your rise.